You glanced at the table and you just knew. 3 cups. You didn't count them. There was no one, 2, 3 running through your head. No pause, no effort. The number was simply there the instant your eyes landed on it, as obvious and immediate as the color of the wall. You would swear you have always been able to do this, that counting is as natural to a human as breathing. But here's the strange part. The thing you just did was not counting, and the real story of how humans came to know numbers is far stranger than a row of fingers. For almost the entire history of your species, the words 1, 2, 3 did not exist. No one could say how many stars hung in the sky, or how many people sat around the fire, or how many days until the herd came back. And somehow your ancestors survived anyway. So sit with that for a moment. How do you live an entire life in a world without numbers? To begin to answer it, you have to understand something hidden inside your own head right now. You do not have a single sense of number. You have 2 of them, and they could not be more different from each other. The first one is lightning fast and absolutely ancient. It only works for very small amounts. 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4. When you saw those 3 cups, you did not tally them up. You recognized the 3-ness of them all at once, the way you recognize a familiar face. Scientists have a name for this instant grasp of tiny quantities. They call it subitizing, from a Latin word meaning to arrive suddenly, because the number does not get built up step by step. It simply arrives. Drop 4 coins on a table, and you know there are 4 before you could ever say the word. Drop 7, and something changes. Suddenly you have to stop and point and actually count. Why does the knowing break the moment you pass 3 or 4? Because past that tiny edge, a completely different system takes over. This second sense is older still, and far blurrier. It is the one that lets you glance at a packed stadium and think a lot, or look at 2 trees and judge which one has more leaves without counting a single one. The cognitive scientist Stanislas Dehaene spent his career mapping this, and he calls it the approximate number sense. Decode that name slowly. It is a built-in feeling for roughly how many, fuzzy and instant, that works less like arithmetic and more like a sense of brightness. You can tell 100 dots from 200 at a glance, but you cannot tell 100 from 101, because this sense was never built for exactness. It was built for speed. Here is what should stop you. This blurry number sense is not something you learned, you were born with it. The psychologist Karen Wynn proved this with babies who could not yet speak, sit up, or hold their own heads steady. She showed 5-month-old infants a small stage with a single doll on it. A screen came up to hide it. A hand placed a second doll behind the screen. Then the screen dropped. Sometimes 2 dolls were revealed, which is correct. Sometimes a hidden trick left only 1, and the baby stared noticeably longer at the wrong answer, the way you would stare at a magic trick that broke the rules. Sit with what that means. An infant who has no words, no schooling, no concept of math already expected 1 and 1 to make 2. The seed of number was there before language ever arrived, and it is not only in humans. A lioness hearing roars in the dark will judge whether her group outnumbers the intruders before deciding to attack. Crows can track small quantities. Fish school by the larger number for safety. This wordless sense of more and fewer is scattered all across the animal kingdom, which means it is ancient almost beyond measure. So now the real mystery sharpens. If the feeling of quantity is this old, this deep, this universal, why did it take humans hundreds of thousands of years to invent actual numbers? Why is counting so recent when sensing quantity is so old? Because they are not the same thing at all. And there is a place on Earth where you can still watch the difference play out in real time. Deep in the Amazon rainforest lives a people called the Piraha. The linguist Daniel Everett spent years living among them, and he reported something that stunned the world of language. Their tongue appears to have no words for exact numbers. Not for 5, not for 10, not even, reliably, for 2. Instead, they have words that mean roughly a small amount and roughly a larger amount, sliding and relative, never fixed. Where your language has a precise ladder of counting words, theirs has a soft gradient of fewer and more. The psychologist Peter Gordon went and tested what that actually does to the mind. He laid out a row of objects and asked Piraha adults to simply match it, to place the same number of items in their own row. With 1, 2, or 3 objects, they managed easily. But as the rows grew longer, the matching fell apart. Not B.